Let's take a look at how to convert a WordPress site to a static HTML site using Wget. Why would you want to convert a WordPress site to a static site? WordPress has frequent updates and frequent security updates. Plus, if your WordPress site uses themes and plugins, those have updates and security updates too. All of that leads to update fatigue, or worse, neglecting updates entirely. WordPress is great for allowing content creators who don't have a lot of web development experience to create a site. But if you're hosting it yourself rather than using a managed hosting service, it requires a lot of maintenance. Here's an example. A site I helped build for an academic workshop or conference that was held in 2012. This site is unlikely to need any future updates. All of the information here is of historical interest. There are a lot of sites like this, where they may have at one time had frequent updates, but now will likely remain the same forever. The content may still be useful, so there are reasons to want to continue serving the site. I'll admit, maybe this particular site isn't the best example. I doubt anyone finds this site to be of historical interest. I'm honestly not sure why I keep renewing this domain name, but let's take a brief look at this site. This site appears to have just 5 pages, and it's not very deep. All of the pages are linked from the home page. There are a couple of pages that may have had interactive forms in the past, like registration and abstract submission. But since the workshop is in the past, those pages do not have web forms. For a site this small, we might be able to save each page as HTML and then save all of the associated assets, images, style sheets, JavaScript, etc. But there are tools that can help us do this. One solution is Wget. What is Wget? It's free software from the GNU project. It's a command line tool for interacting with HTTP and HTTPS, as well as FTP. You may have used Wget before to download files via a terminal session. And most importantly, it has functionality that will allow us to mirror an entire website. For our purposes, the most important Wget option is -r, or recursive. Let's take a look at how Wget works to retrieve and mirror the target website. I'll open up a terminal window and type wget -r http://www.stress2012.com. We can see in the output that this entire operation took just a little over 1 second. But what did it do? Let's take a look in our current working directory. We can see that there's a new folder, www.stress2012.com. Inside that folder, there are files and subfolders that match the structure of the site. There are a few unexpected pages here. These probably aren't needed and should be removed, but I'm not going to worry about them for this demonstration. Inside the WP content folder, we can see both the themes folder and the uploads folder. The uploads folder would contain any images previously added by the WordPress content editors. We can also see in WP-includes both the CSS and JS folders, so Wget has downloaded those assets as well. Now let's move this mirror of the site to a path more typically used by the web server, /var/www. You can see the existing WordPress site directory at Stress 2012. Let's copy the site mirror. That worked, but it's owned by the root user because we copied it with sudo. Let's update the user and group. Now let's add the Apache web server configuration. The default config directory on Debian and Ubuntu is /etc/Apache2. On Red Hat and similar systems, it is /etc/httpd. Let's take a look at sites available. Here's the configuration file for the current WordPress site. Let's copy that file. There are just a couple of changes to make to this file. I'm going to use VI, but you can use the text editor of your choice. First, I'll want to change the document root. That matches the new folder that we created in var www. Some of the lines below tell the server to look for index.php as the default file for a directory, and we want it to look for index.html instead, which is the default. We don't really need these lines, so I'm going to delete them. Now we just need to disable the old site configuration and enable the new site configuration. I'll disable the old site configuration. And I will enable the new site configuration. It will work with the .conf on the end. I just am using the base name. The output tells us that we need to reload the Apache web server, and we're going to need superuser privileges to do that. Let's check out the site. The site looks identical. In fact, unless you know what to look for, you might even wonder if our changes actually did anything at all. I'll test this by creating a new file in the static site. That loads. Looks like the pages are being loaded from the static site directory. There is one thing that is broken though. The site search relied on PHP and the backend MySQL database. That doesn't do anything at all. There are only 5 pages on this site, so it would be easy enough to delete the search form manually. I'm going to use find and sed to do this, but don't worry if this doesn't immediately make sense. I'm just doing this for speed. First, I will change to the document root. I'm going to find files matching .html. And when I find those, I'm going to execute the sed command on those files. I am going to look for lines that contain search form. And then I'm going to delete that line and the following 4 lines from the file. This is a little bit of a dangerous operation to run on a live site. In this case, I've practiced this command before. I know that it works. This is not something that you would want to do on a live production website. Let's go back and reload the page. The search form is now gone. The great thing about this method, we can easily revert it to the WordPress site if we need to. I'll just disable the static site and re-enable the WordPress site. Sudo a2 dis site stress 2012 static.conf and sudo a2 nsite stress 2012.conf. I will reload Apache. And reload the site. And the search bar, the search form is back. And if I search for travel, I get the travel and accommodations page. But since everything worked, I'm actually going to change it back. So I will disable the WordPress site and I will enable the static site. And again, I will reload Apache. And we'll go back here, reload the page. The search form is gone. We're dealing with the static site again. But we're not completely free of security updates. My web server software and the operating system still need frequent updates. One solution for this that I've used in the past is to host static sites via the Amazon Web Services S3 service. It's incredibly inexpensive and easy to set up. I hope to make a follow-up video on that topic in the near future. I hope you found this useful, and thanks for watching.